I'm really pleased to see the work that the Hub for Success is doing, and being able to speak to care experienced people. They were telling me that their educational journey might not always be a linear one. They might be in education for a couple of years, they may have to step back and then re-enter education. But the support they were getting from the Hub was really vital to completing that educational journey. And that's exactly what we want to do with the Promise. We want to make sure that care experienced people, right throughout the course of their life, because care experience is a lifelong experience, can we ensure that we provide those care experienced people with the right support they need, especially during crucial milestones, in order to make sure that they have equal opportunity regardless of the care experience that they've had to go through.
I know educational attainment is one area of the Promise where the government wants to see progress. What can be done about this? Because I think in the last few updates we've had, it has been noted that attainment of care experienced young people is behind overall attainment. So how's the government looking to improve that situation?
Yeah, in terms of the overall attainment gap, obviously we have made progress over the years, but it's exactly by supporting initiatives like the Hub that we're going to see better outcomes. And I was just on to the principal, the Vice-Chancellor of Edinburgh University ahead of coming into this meeting, and he was telling me the significant increase of young and not so young care experienced people coming into education at Edinburgh University over the years, so really significant rises. So we've got to continue to support our further education, higher education institutes with widening access to make sure that we are providing those opportunities for care experienced to complete their educational journey, even if it's not a linear one, so supporting them right throughout that journey as best we possibly can. And
the report from Who Cares Scotland earlier this week, one of the areas they flagged up was the use of restraint around young people in care, and they felt that the goals around this were being diluted a bit. What's your view on the matter, and how are you going to be speaking to councils? What are your recommendations going to be for them?
Well, I can give them an assurance, Who Cares Scotland, an assurance we're not diluting what we've said in relation to restraint. What we're trying to do with our educational establishments, with our local authorities, is make sure we absolutely get the balance right. First and foremost, primarily supporting our young people, including our care experienced young people. But we know also that teachers have expressed a real concern about violence in the school place, and of course the Education Secretary has held now a number of summits to tackle that. So making sure we get the balance right, creating a nurturing environment for our young people, not using, for example, restraint and reducing that right down to the absolute minimum. We're not using it at all, of course, is what we want, but creating a safe space for our teachers as well, in order that they can fulfil their teaching potential. Because we know that there's some significant concerns around violence in schools that they've raised over the last few weeks and months.
And I know your predecessor, Nicola Sturgeon, she feels the Promise is one of the most important policies to come out of her time in government, and she's still sort of campaigning for it from the backbenches. Has she bent your ear about it? Is there anything in particular she's raised with you to do with the Promise?
She's obviously raised the issue in Parliament just recently. She asked, I think, her first FMQs, which was a bit of a bizarre experience, I have to say, but she raised an FMQ just a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, about the Promise. So she has made it abundantly clear in public and indeed in any private conversations that we've had that she will continue to keep a focus on the Promise. And look, credit to Nicola Sturgeon. There wouldn't be a Promise, I don't think, if she hadn't led the way during her time as First Minister, and credit to the care experienced people that drove that change right from day one.
And just lastly then, obviously we saw the resignation of Eleanor Whittam last night, and you spoke about your own mental health issues recently too. Is the hope that ministers talking about this will reduce some of the stigma?
I hope so, and that's why I spoke about it in the Rest is Politics podcast recently. I think it is important, if we can, and if you feel able to talk about it, it helps to reduce some of the stigma. I would say that that's part of trying to deal with this issue in politics. We know a number of politicians from different political parties have spoken about the mental health challenges in politics. I think also, to be frank, our political discourse, our media discourse isn't conducive to good mental health at all. I have a number of colleagues, be they civil servants or ministers, who will often feel the intrusion into their public life, into their private life. They'll feel their character is assassinated, frankly, on an all too regular basis. Personal attacks that are made on them. And look, I've been guilty, I'm certain, of that in my time in politics too, but maybe there's a bit of a wake-up call for all of us in politics, including, of course, our colleagues in the media, to think about how can we do this better. That doesn't mean that you stop scrutinising, you absolutely should. That's an important function in any democracy, but how do we do that better?